ancestors trusted in the power of the mountain shrine. Its waters nurtured our village, gave us life, strengthened our connection to the spirit realm. I could not understand why he would betray us. Our home was crumbling, and the people looked to me for answers. I failed them, and could only watch as life drained from the village.
So we should do nothing? You should take action.
The creature is connected to the balance of the land. Its presence, the famine. They are part of a natural cycle. The land needs time to heal. We must cross the mountains. It's time to look for a new home.
Your faith in the old ways has blinded you.
Lead our people, and they will follow you.
Zajiro, you have the power to stop this. We should drive it out.
Put down the staff, Toshi.
I will end this suffering.
Why are you punishing us? What did we do? Answer me. How many people must die? Why? Tell me. Don't turn your back on me. Listen to me. We don't need you. This is it.
Zajiro once told me, change was an essential part of life. He understood the wrought God's purpose. Fear drove my actions, and I destroyed something beautiful. If I had just listened to Zajiro, how many could have been saved?
I'm sorry, Itoshi. We're not meant to suffer such pain. Grief is natural, but it can imprison us, change who we are. Your torment has lasted long enough. Nothing will change what happened here. You must forgive yourself so the land can heal.
Come, Toshi. Our time here is over. Goodbye, Kana. There is only one spirit left for you to help.
I'll reserve comment until I think I'm completely done and I see the credits roll.
Goodbye, little friend.
Oh. Damn, what a finale. There we go. Ember Lab, congratulations on a really great first game. Seriously, everyone whose names is rolling by here, I think they really deserve a big congratulations. Let's see how long this credits is going to be compared to like AAA stuff that I've played in the past. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more extended names here for all like the marketing and like, all that kind of stuff. But from what I'd read, the core number of people working on the game was 15. but obviously when you add in every single moving part, it's going to expand out to much bigger, even for, of course, an indie game. There's indies and there's indies. There's like Undertale, and then there's this. They're both technically indie games, I believe. But then you got, obviously, a big variety of scale. But seriously, what a nice game. I mean, honestly, left me feeling a nice, positive vibe. There really is like a nice... I don't want to like be too cheesy with it, but this game really does feel like it has like a nice spirit to it. That's the vibe I've got, like with that finale and stuff. It seems like the story was pretty simple, but it was effective. It was well told. Like for the bits that we did get, I mean, I'm going to come to like some aspects of it like later on, but I think what it was trying to say, and you know, the way that it was about humans trying to go against the forces of nature, and in doing so he ended up basically destroying everything. And you saw how majestic the true form of the rot was. Honestly, it made me want to like dye Coco's mane green and just get her like make some antlers for her or something. That creature was seriously majestic. And yeah, I mean, the way that everything kind of came together in the end and the balance was restored, it's kind of what I expected from this game, and it didn't disappoint in that regard. So honestly, I've definitely enjoyed my time with this, and framing everything within the context of it being the debut effort and it having nowhere near the firepower of a AAA title, even though as you can see, there's of course a fairly big team here. I still think it's definitely worthy of praise, and I'm really looking forward to what they have next. I mean, it's one of these where I think of games that had great sequels when they were given a better chance to sort of, you know, expand out, learn from their mistakes, refine what was already good and that kind of thing. And I have confidence that if Ember Lab makes another game, which I hope they will, you know, in the coming years, I don't see why it can't be better than this game and be like a true contender for like a game of the year in some sort of category, and you know, be a game that people could have as their favorites of that year, and all that kind of stuff. I do think that's within the reach of Ember Labs. Is this game that game? I don't think this game is that game. I don't think they're ready yet. There was a lot of promise and a lot of really nice stuff that I enjoyed in this game, but was it like is it going to be this groundbreaking indie that like in years to come people are going to say this is one of the all-time great like indie debut releases? Probably not. Like it's I put it in like the really good category, but it's not going to be, I don't think it's something that's in like the real like masterpiece, you know, incredible, and that kind of thing. So I'm not like too over the top about it, but I'm definitely happy with what I played, and I'm very much glad that I did. And honestly, for £30/$30, the way games are priced these days, I don't think you can go wrong. So I think all of that stuff is good. You have unlocked master difficulty. I'm going to come to that actually. Let me go to continue, see where it fires me up at. I'm assuming... yeah, here, and I still got all of this stuff as well. Okay, so I think I should probably just sit down with my homies and sort of round off things here. Gather around, kids. Let's talk about this game. Okay, so I think I'm going to talk more about the positives than the negatives for this game, I would say, because it left me with much more positive feelings than the negative ones, having got to the end. Honestly, everything that I expected to be good based on what I saw on the trailer was pretty much good. I mean, I saw the environment in the trailer, I saw like the design, the beauty of the game, and sort of like the cute warm elements that it had, the animation, the quality of the cutscenes and that kind of thing. Those were the kind of things that drew me into the game in the first place. Honestly, I didn't watch the trailer and think, oh, I'm really interested in, you know, the challenge of the gameplay, or like, you know, how deep is the gameplay, or, you know, does it have a really deep and complex narrative? Is the game going to be 30 hours, 40 hours long, that kind of thing. I was more interested in the things that I mentioned previously, and on those fronts it definitely delivered for almost like the entire spectrum of what I was expecting. The game looks really good. It has a pretty big map, you know, maybe a little bit bigger than I was expecting, The area variety is pretty good. It's not fantastic, but I thought there was a decent variety of like external areas, internal areas. We had like the mountains and the woods. We had the more village areas, the caves. And when you combine it all together, I think there was enough there to say it didn't all feel like it was basically taking place within the same patch of forest, if that makes sense. So I think they did a pretty good job with that aspect of it. I think in terms of things to do in the world, the exploring felt pretty natural to me. And the things that you can find, like the cursed chests, I think was a smart move. Those were fun to do. There's still more to do that I haven't already, but you get the idea of how they work, and I'm sure it's just going to be more of the same for the few that I have left. The way that you find more of the rot as you progress felt pretty natural, and kind of seeing those guys multiply and sort of join the squad as you play through was really cool. And honestly, the rot are probably like the best thing about the game. The way that they implemented these guys was so well done. I mean, literally this frame that you see here is something so unique to me in terms of the experiences I've had while gaming. I mean, I often talk about games and like having a party or like a group of characters and how the camaraderie is between them, their friendships and their trials and tribulations and all that kind of stuff, and that really contributes to how I feel about a game. And with this one, like, okay, we did have a supporting cast, of course, but, I mean, these guys were our companions for the whole thing. And these guys, they can't talk. You know, obviously you're not going to have, like, a conversation with them or anything like that, but the way that they've designed them and the way that they've accompanied us throughout this journey has been absolutely adorable. I mean, not only have they been environmentally helpful, they helped you find things, you interact with them to progress in certain areas, they become a part of your powers, the gameplay, like the rot arrows, the rot bombs and all of those kind of things. And obviously the way they tie into the story as a whole, like the entire thing is about the rot and about how, you know, humanity wanted to, you know, go against the will of nature and the rot god. And ultimately, the events of the game were set into motion because of what Toshi did to the Rock God. So the way that they tied in these guys on every level of the game, I thought was absolutely fantastic. And just honestly, like because this game has such a nice cuteness and charmness to it, obviously the Rock contribute very heavily to that. So I really love these guys, and I think they were an absolutely wonderful addition. And just seeing them expand and just getting them all these hats and stuff, like, this is adorable. I mean, just look at this scene here. It's so cute. I mean, this kind of, like, cutesy kind of, I don't know, charm stuff, it doesn't do it for everyone. Some people are just more interested in, like, the core game situation, you know, like they like their games maybe a bit more brooding, a bit more dark, dangerous, exciting, adrenaline, whatever it might be. And so, like, they might not care as much about this kind of thing. But for me, honestly, I'm the kind of guy, you know, obviously I come from, you know, Final Fantasy background. I've seen a lot of anime stuff in the past, Ghibli movies, that kind of stuff. It's just, to me, it really does feel like something that goes well with those kind of themes and those kind of designs. And I really love these guys, and they're probably my favorite thing about the game. So big up to my homies, and I'm glad that I got to spend this game rolling with them, and it was a lot of fun. Honestly, I think gameplay-wise, it had enough for me that I'm not like a super demanding person in terms of the gameplay that I'm looking for with this type of game and combat. It had enough there to keep me interested. There was a variety of techniques that you could use in battle. You know, just off the top of my head, obviously you got the parry, you got the arrows, you got the bombs that you can use. Obviously you got the rot hammer, you got the shield. Later on you had the dash, so you had the rot binding. So when you combine all those things together, there was at least 6 or 7 different things eventually that you could do within the battles that could make it easier or more difficult, and obviously change the way that you play the game. So to me that felt like enough. Like, was it the deepest, most fine-tuned, amazing battle system I've ever seen? No. But, like, honestly, it was a little bit better than I was expecting. And when you factor in the difficulty spikes that happened in the game, and some of the bosses really did require a fair few, like, repeat attempts to figure out and to get, like, you did feel a sense of satisfaction when you defeated the bosses in the game. And that's not something I really thought was going to be like that much of a factor in this game. So I was pleasantly surprised about that aspect, if I'm being honest. So that's another thing that I personally would give the game praise for. But again, maybe some more demanding people would be sort of like, no, I wanted more from it in that respect. But for me, I think gameplay-wise, I was definitely happy, and the boss battles were pretty varied, and I definitely had a good time fighting most of them. I think some standouts were like the hunter, the flying hunter in the woodlands was really interesting, and the samurai felt very formidable too. And the final boss battle against the corrupt rock god, the structure of it I thought was really good, but it did feel like it was a little bit unforgiving for like the first 60% or so of it, where they just didn't let you heal. So that was like one thing that I think could have been a little bit more lenient. So that's how I felt about that kind of stuff. In terms of how much was in the game, I thought again it was sufficient. I think I've maybe spent about 15 hours now or something playing the game. If you include like repeat attempts and maybe just kind of getting caught up in exploring and not making actually much progress or not finding that much, maybe it's closer to like 10 to 12 hours if you're really more like focused and you don't do too much exploring, you just get on with it. And maybe you play on an easier difficulty, then you bring it down to like maybe 6 to 8 hours if you're really just on easy mode and just following the main story and kind of blitzing through the game. So honestly, there's so many games that are really good that are between like the, I would say, 10 to 15 hour mark, that I don't think that this game costing half the price of a AAA release, I don't think you can complain too much about, oh, there's not enough content for the money. Even right now, there's cursed chests that I haven't done, there's spirit mail to find, there's more rot to find, so I could probably spend another maybe 5 hours playing the game, probably. Depending on how hard those chests are, I could maybe spend 10 hours, who knows. There's master difficulty, so you've seen how difficult the game can get anyway, and if you've enjoyed the combat and you've enjoyed the challenge, you can take it up another notch or two. And the shorter length, I think, makes it easier to replay on a harder difficulty too. So that can be viewed as a positive in some ways as well. So in terms of bang for your buck, honestly, the way things are right now, if this game costs like £30, like in 2011 or something, then maybe you'd have more of a case to say, well, wait a minute, this game's too short. But if you look at like the gaming market as a whole right now, I think $30/£30 for this game on the PS5, I think is a pretty good deal. And of course, it's only going to get cheaper over time. So for those of you guys that liked it, but you're not that blown away, but you wouldn't mind playing it someday, I'm sure there's going to be an opportunity for you to play it at like £15, maybe £10 when it goes on like a big, like legit sale. So I'm definitely sure that it's not going to break the bank for you guys if you want to play it at some point in the future. And I think finally, in terms of the positive stuff, like I said right at the beginning of the ending, the general spirit and the energy that this game has, I think, is really nice. The atmosphere of the environments, the soundtrack, the character design, the design of the rots, the hats, the way that they just smile and like they enjoy being found and like seeing all their friends around them and stuff. All of that general energy and that spirit is something that I've really enjoyed with this game. And I really think that if you are into that kind of thing, you're going to get a kick out of Kena Bridge of Spirits, and you'll have a good time running around with the homies and finding new ones and buying them hats and going on that adventure together with them. So I think there's definitely a lot to like about this game, and I have liked a lot about it. So I'm not going to go too deep into like criticisms, because again, there's just so much context around these things, and it's very easy to throw out criticisms when you're someone like me who mostly plays a lot of AAA titles. So, you know, for me to say, well, in God of War it was like this, it's like oftentimes there's going to be a very sort of, you know, obvious answer as to why it's not like God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn or even like Nier Automata or something. I don't know. So, but that being said, I will of course voice things that I wasn't as in love with. I think one thing that I was surprised with, and that I was still surprised by, is the amount of story I thought would be a little bit more. Like, if you take all of the cutscenes that we got in the game and put them into like a full movie version, it's less than I was expecting. I didn't expect like some big giant sort of story, like, you know, some 40-hour main story and there was going to be like 8 hours worth of cutscene. But I was expecting maybe like, you know, if we got half an hour to 45 minutes worth of pure cutscenes, I was expecting maybe an hour and a half or something like that. Like, just something more, but not absolutely crazy. So the cutscene to gameplay ratio, I think, was less than I would have liked. And the reason that that kind of plays on my mind a bit more is because they were really good at it. Like, when the cutscenes did happen, I was definitely engaged and just enjoying watching them. So it did feel to me like if there was more of it, I would have enjoyed watching more of it. And again, how much of that is a limitation of the production and the budget and all that kind of stuff, obviously, I don't know. But it does sort of make me happy that in the future, if they do make another game, I do have a feeling that that one might go a bit deeper on the story and we'll get more cutscenes and more sort of development, and there'll be less empty spaces of just gameplay and exploration between story progression, because it's not like I did a huge amount of side stuff while I was playing the game. I was still mostly focused on the main quest, but I was just trying to be careful and exploratory while I did the main quest. And regardless of that, it did feel like the ratio was a little less than I would have liked. And I think in future titles, that's going to be something that I'm sure is going to be a bit different. So I'm looking forward to that. But for this game, I do wish there was a little bit more story, because when it happened, because what we did get, I definitely did enjoy. It was simple, but it was well executed, and it did feel very professional and sort of top tier in terms of like how they directed the cutscenes, the voice acting, and all that kind of stuff. I would not have minded watching, over the course of my entire experience, another hour's worth of cutscenes while I was playing through the game. So that's one thing. Two, I think exploration and things to do wise, there was a little bit too much of just finding stuff that gave you the hat currency. There was at least like maybe 4 different ways or something to get that, and I think there's just too many chests and too many boxes that just had those like crystals or whatever they were, and ultimately they're just used to buy hats. So like to me, that we could have had a few more sort of collectibles and that kind of thing, items maybe, stuff like that. Yeah, like we didn't get any weapons, we didn't get any costumes, we didn't get any items, so everything was just about the rot basically, and powering those guys up and gaining new abilities for them. So again, maybe in a future game they'll go deeper on that, we'll have more of that kind of stuff, we'll have like item shops, weapon shops, clothes shops, a bit more like Breath of the Wild-esque, I guess. And because that was lacking, it didn't quite feel as deep as some of those other games, so that was something that I think was a bit lacking as well. It would have been nice to have a bit more variety on that side of the gameplay and the world. I think sometimes the boss battles and the way like tougher battles went, maybe again it's a development thing in terms of how well they're able to polish it and program certain things, but it didn't always feel quite as fair as some of the games that I played. So it did feel like sometimes I'd already rolled past an enemy and I kind of just got hit anyway. There were times when certain things felt a little bit artificial or forced in terms of me missing. You guys would have remembered hopefully the hunter battle, where there was so many occasions where it seemed like the game was programmed to make the hunter strafe/warp every single time you shot an arrow, even when you were in slow-mo and stuff. So there was a few moments like that where I felt a bit frustrated, where it felt like it wasn't really my fault. It didn't quite feel as fair in its challenge sometimes as like some of the other more difficult boss battles and games I've encountered. Was it a huge deal? Not really. I think it only affected maybe like 10 to 20% of like the gameplay for me, but it was something that I personally noticed while I was playing. So again, that will affect different people to different degrees, but it was something that I personally picked up on. And by that same token, there were a few times where I did feel like it was made a little bit too challenging even on normal difficulty, because I mean, at this stage I've been playing games a long time, and honestly I think I would have game overed in this game like 40 to 50 times maybe, I would say. And on normal difficulty I thought that was still a little bit too much. Like, I don't know how much easier the game gets on easy mode, but for normal it did feel like I died a bit more than I maybe thought I would. Again, was it like an extreme amount? No. I mean, I don't think it's a Crash Bandicoot 4 where that game literally angered me because of how deliberately difficult and annoying they made that game. Kane is nothing like that, but it could have been made like maybe 20% easier in normal mode, I think. Since we do have like master mode and that kind of stuff for people that are really getting into it and want to become masters of the game, they already have that available. I do feel like normal difficulty would be annoying to a lot of gamers. And let's be real, I mean, the way that this game is presented and even like reading some comments about it and that kind of thing, it has the look and the appeal of a more quote-unquote casual game. Something that you don't have to be that skilled or great with your reflexes, or be used to this sort of gameplay to be able to enjoy. I mean, this is something that I feel like a lot of people that aren't those type of gamers can kind of sit back and just enjoy the world, spend some time with the homies, explore, have some charming moments and go on an adventure. But sometimes the normal difficulty did feel a little bit almost like restrictively difficult. And yes, of course you can come down to easy mode, but I think a lot of people would have done what I did and just sort of assumed that normal would have still been okay and just kind of gone with normal. So again, is it this like big huge deal? No, but I do think maybe the normal difficulty should have been a little bit easier, just to sort of maintain a little bit better balance, I think, for that type of stuff. So those, I think, are my general comments. Overall, I've had a really, really good time with this game. Having properly completed it now, I would agree both with the Metacritic score and with the Metacritic user score. Last I checked, I think it was probably like 8.5 to 8.7 for the user score and 81 for the critic score. I would put my score somewhere around there, I think between 8 and 8.5 for this debut effort by Ember Lab. Definitely a good game, and I would recommend it to a lot of people. But was it like this groundbreaking, this is an amazing, incredible debut that's going to take the world by storm and it's going to be like win all of these awards and all this kind of stuff? I mean, I do think it has some potential to maybe win a few little awards here and there, like over the next year, but I don't think it's going to be like this crazy sort of, this massive like critical and universally loved success that's going to, for the years to come, that's going to make this game incredibly sort of memorable and iconic. It's not there, but there's definitely enough good going on there that when they do make their next game, which I'm hoping that they will, I'm sure it's going to be really good. We could have like a Portal 1, Portal 2, Half-Life, Half-Life 2. I've always heard the second Ori game is really good as well and improves on the first one in a lot of ways. So even if it's like 0.5 out of 10 better, that already is going to put this into the realm of like one of the best games of the year. So I'm sure whether it's a Kena Bridge of Spirits 2 or whether it's a different game, I think the future is bright for Ember Lab. So congratulations to them once again, and thank you to everybody that's been watching this series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will see you soon with more content. It might actually be either Resident Evil or Horizon Zero Dawn DLC. So if we play Horizon Zero Dawn DLC, you'll probably see some more similarities as well between this game and that one. So that should be pretty cool as well. So I'll see you soon. Thanks everybody for going on this adventure with me and the homies. Thank you for watching. Take care.